I mean, who am I to be out here talking about optimistic dating in the 50s, right? Like, where did I come from and why am I so passionate about this? So, just a little bit of a backstory. So, as you've heard in some of my other videos, I was focused on taking care of myself. Like, that was the message I got: independence, financial stability, whatnot. And that is all I've been focused on my entire life. And then I got laid off a couple months ago, which I thought was going to be, in my mind, like the greatest fear of my life and the worst thing that could possibly happen to me. But I'm actually fine. And it's allowed me this space where, like, all these years of like stress and just focus and capacity that was being put towards work, all of that space is freed up. And so I have kind of this sort of lightness and optimism and energy and creativity and capacity. And it's almost like I'm finally getting to be myself, like really, truly myself for the first time in my life, without all these icks of my life, right? So I've had a long life, lots of experiences, and I'll talk about those eventually. But where did this come from? Because up until like maybe this year, I had no interest in dating anymore. I had decided like I would just have like my dog and my cat. Unfortunately, my dog passed away in October, but I would just be fine with that. That was my life. But it was actually an interesting situation that popped up that changed things. So I have this ex. We dated for a short period of time in high school. Then again, about 13 years ago, and then he resurfaced again last year. And when we started seeing each other again in November, it was a really bad time for both of us. We both were like, no relationship. This is more just about like, honestly, two like really depressed people looking for companionship. But we also couldn't ignore the fact that like, why over like a 30-year period of time do we continue to orbit each other, even though, you know, circumstances have never lined up? Like, we both sort of had this feeling like, okay, this is bad timing. Neither one of us has the capacity for this, but this is the third time. Like, we should pay attention to it. And so it was kind of like this, let's just keep it casual. Let's just see how it goes. And let's like be really communicative. And maybe someday, wherever off in the future, 6 months, a year from now, whatever, maybe we will finally align. So let's just not do anything to rule that out, but then let's not put any pressure on it beyond that. So it was kind of like very loosey-goosey. And I spent a considerable amount of time with him kind of in like January and February of this year, probably more time than I'd spent with him in the last two rounds. And I had seen this whole other side of him, or at least what I thought. And like, I realized just how much I loved him with all the things that we had going on. But fast forward, things happen. I discovered some things. And it turns out that he's actually a narcissist. And that was a big surprising thing for me, because I was like, wait a minute, I've been smart about dating my whole life. Like, I've dodged every bullet there could be. How the hell did I get a narcissist? And so I had to go through that kind of emotional process of like, oh, it's because you're strong, and it's because you have something that he wants and wants to dominate and control. And like, that's probably the only person that could have gotten into my life at that point, was someone like him. And as part of that process, as part of that recovery process, what I took out of it actually was really positive, was sort of like, wait a minute, I actually have this capacity to love that I had never seen or experienced before, even though it was misplaced potentially. I loved so hard. And I was like, okay, if I can do that for someone that turned out to be bad, and not my destiny, but probably the lesson I needed to learn, and the eyes that needed to be open. I think that's the lesson in why we kept orbiting each other. There was something I needed to learn and get out of that, and I did. And so I came out of it with sort of this optimism of like, okay, well, I'm actually capable of something I didn't know I was capable of before, which is giving love, but also receiving it. There were some things that I was receiving that I had never been open to before. I'd never been open to somebody like taking care of me and things like that. And he did. Again, I don't want to get into the there was like what I thought was happening and what was happening, but there were some authentic moments in it. And so I was receiving love and I was giving love, and it was completely unconditional, and it was during hard times. So I was like, okay, well, if that didn't work out, that's fine. But if I can receive it and I can give it, then maybe I can go about this in a healthy way. And maybe there is chance, right? And so I had some like fits and starts there with some really bad, like ghosters and whatnot, people that just like aren't serious about it. But then I met someone probably about a month or so ago. It didn't work out. So like none of these have happy endings, but they do to some extent because they just keep creating more optimism. But this person that I met a month ago, like we didn't work out. And I'll be honest, I actually still don't understand why. And it's a little bit annoying because this actually was the first like healthy person I think I've met. And there was a lot of potential, like a lot of things were going right, including me having to learn again to accept being cared about and taken care of, not in a financial kind of way, but in an emotional safety kind of way. That those things had started to happen. And that was the first time I was like, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is the caliber of guy I'm looking for. He is able to challenge me in a healthy way. He's bringing to the table the level of energy I'm bringing, despite us being completely different people. And so even though that didn't work out, it actually left me incredibly hopeful, like, oh, there is someone out there. And maybe he was the only one, so maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I'm going to continue to keep at it because I'm learning as I go just exactly what I have to offer, but also what I'm willing to receive for the first time in my life. And that it doesn't have to be dark and unhealthy and complicated and messy. And granted, we are all complicated and messy at this age, but something my mother said a few months ago was like, yeah, anyone your age comes with stuff. It's just a matter of two people deciding whether or not that's the stuff they want to work through together, but you're all going to have it. So you just have to figure out how you're going to deal with it. But like, it's okay to have your crap, right? Baggage is probably the word that we use for it, but baggage connotes not having worked through it, but I think a lot of us have worked through it and we've just figured out how to integrate our lives. And so that's where I'm hopeful, and that's where my optimism is coming from, is because I've actually seen a couple of things that are playing out in a way I never thought they would. And I'm also understanding that I have a capacity I wasn't sure I had. So now I'm in that space and I have a lot of time on my hands because I'm intentionally taking time off before I decide what's next for my career, because I think I'm learning that what I did for 30 years was really unhealthy. And so I really want to make sure I don't do that again if I can avoid it. But in the meantime, it's left me like 1,000 pounds lighter and just full of light and love and patience and diplomacy and empathy and a willingness to have conversations and a willingness to talk about this dating in the 50s, which is completely changed from what dating was like 30 years ago. We're dating for character now. We're not dating for any kind of survival needs or anything like that. We're dating because of choice. And there's so much positive that can be on the other side of that. When you're at this age, you know who you are, you've got that confidence, you've got things put together. And so I think we actually have a lot more capacity for each other than we probably ever did before. So that's a little bit of my ADHD scramble on why am I talking about this and where the hell is my optimism coming from, because it is exhausting and there is a lot of garbage out there to sort through. But I truly believe that these guys are out there, and I know these girls are out there because I'm one of them. So I'm not giving up. I feel positive about dating for the first time in like my entire life. And that all started with recovering from a narcissistic relationship that literally within 3 months I was on a date with the healthiest, coolest guy I've ever met, even though it didn't work out. And I've still continued to meet really cool men. It's just not a right fit. So I'm going to continue trying. So keep at it, stay positive. Good luck to all of you. Keep commenting and teaching and sharing.